So broad level agenda of this particular session, our prime focus will be on the top 5 SQL commands. And so I'm not going to teach you a lot of SQL commands, because if you get do a deep dive into SQL, it will get more technical. So I don't want to keep it a technical session. It's going to be a functional session. So how much a functional BA should be knowing about SQL. So as you know, nowadays every job description is having a mention of, the BA should have some SQL skills. So that's the prime reason I thought I will get together my old students and to conduct a session. And while we were discussing about conducting a workshop like this, we thought, okay, why not open it up to everyone? Okay, the next slide talks a little about our company. To give you a brief about our company, Interactive Learning Solution, I'm the founder of this company. The prime focus, our prime goal of this company was to educate as many business analysts and create a much more successful and rewarding careers for business analysts. So that's the reason our prime speciality or prime expertise is in business analysis courses. So we don't do any other courses. We primarily focus on business analysis plus agile courses. So that's our core competency. Today, we have trained around 3,000 business analysts, more than 3,000 business analysts across the globe, and we are touching a figure of 3,500. And so, for many of you who just want to join the business analysis profession, stay till the end. I have a special gift for you, where I will tell you how easily you can educate yourself in this particular stream and get into business analysis using a 6-step approach. So stay till the end, and there's a special gift as we are nearing the 3,500 mark of students that I have trained. Okay, so these are just some snapshots of the masterclass that we have run so far, all this year's photographs. And I will now take a deep dive into SQL, because that's this workshop all about. So take notes, guys, as I tell you why what are databases and why we need to know SQL. Okay, now what is a database? A database, I understand most of you must be having a broad level idea what a database is. So database is used to store data, information, right? So, and why do we need databases? Now, if suppose you have a Excel sheet in which you are storing up some product information or customer information, whatever, there will be a limit to which to which you can that Excel sheet can hold information, right? So large organizations have large humongous amounts of data. Okay, they have lots and lots of data with them, and these data has to be stored in a secure way, and it has to be stored in a system which has the capacity of managing that large amount of data. It it should be a system that can be easily updated whenever required. So security is a concern. Data integrity means consistency in the data. Hmm, that's a concern. And managing large amount of data cannot be managed in Excel sheets. Now we are seeing more and more jobs of functional BAs asking for a basic knowledge of SQL. So even most of you must have encountered that. So these roles which you are these job descriptions that you are seeing in the internet, the job description is purely that of a functional BA. So they are not asking you for any programming knowledge or any other visualization tool, but they are saying that at least basic SQL a BA should be knowing. So I stumbled upon many such offers. So I said, okay, now the requirement of the market is changing. Okay, when we were in the functional role, there was not much emphasis on having SQL skills. Like I said, I barely used SQL during my tenure as a BA. And why this is changing? See, every time the market need changes, as organizations needs change. Now organizations are primarily focusing more on data and information, and every one of you will agree with the fact. You'll see that there is huge amount of data mining that's going on by all of these large organizations. Organizations are using data for different purposes. So there is a lot of focus on data and information in order to understand customers' preferences, in order to understand their buying patterns, and that's the reason most of the organizations saying that as a BA, if you're just thinking about how your system should behave, how your application should behave, then that's not enough. You should also understand the back end. You should also understand how this data is being stored. So, and that's primarily the reason I put together this small workshop where I can tell you how data from the front end that we see, the user interface that we see, how that data gets stored in databases, and how we can, we as BAs, what value we can add here. These are some of the areas. What you're seeing on the screen right now, guys, these are some of the areas in which business analysts are using SQL skills. And there are much more areas now here, because our larger audience are purely people who are starting off on business analyst professions. That's the reason I have brought together only the areas in which a junior BA can contribute to. Okay, so there are much more advanced business analysis techniques in which BAs use SQL skills, but I've not listed that. uh, so business rules analysis. To all my students, I've already explained to you what business rules are all about. But for the benefit of the others, let me tell you, business rules are conditions that exist in your system that will control the behavior of the system. Like for example, you're building an ATM software. Now, before the ATM dispenses cash to the customer, it has to make a lot of checkings, right? It has to check whether the customer's account balance is enough. So account balance should be more than the amount that he has requested. Then we also have to check whether the withdrawal limit, how much withdrawal limit he has. So if I have 10,000 withdrawal limit and I'm requesting for 15,000, it will not allow me. Hmm? So all these are two examples of business rules conditions which are put in the rules engine to check, to validate if the user is making a wrong entry, or the user is requesting for something that you should not be allowed. Okay, so that's a typical example of a business rules. Now when these kind of rules are built in your software systems, it becomes very very crucial for your for a functional BA also to check whether the rules are firing appropriately or not. And one way you can check is by querying the database, by checking what data is stored in the database, and running certain queries to see whether that's the same data that is being fetched in the front end. So business rules analysis, where your technical team will definitely write those queries, don't worry about that. Your technical team will put those conditions in the code. You don't need to do any coding. But after they have coded for you, you have to check these critical rules, right? You need to check whether these conditions are working or not. And the one way you can check is by cross checking it against the database. And we will see, when I show you the interface of the database, you'll get an idea what exactly I mean by that. Then we have data dictionaries, data modeling, data mining. All of this, of course, these are techniques which are related to data, and that's the reason they have a higher focus on databases. Now data dictionaries, as a functional BA, most of you must have created data dictionaries, wherein if you expect your technical team to create a screen, say a registration screen, which is having 10 fields, you have to tell them what are those fields, right? So you'll create a small data dictionary where you'll mention, okay, I need name, address, phone number, email address, whatever are the fields that have to be captured. So you'll mention all the field names along with the length of the field, whether it should be a text box, drop down, whether there are specific validations associated with the field. So all of that comes under data dictionary. So what you're telling your technical team is how to build the user interface. What elements should be there in the user interface? Now, many a times what happens is we BAs just focus on the user interface, and we leave the back end to the technical people. So what happens is, in that case, many a times technical teams, they don't know what are the data requirements of the business. In the sense, suppose I gave you an example of a simple registration form, right? Now, imagine the technical team creates a database based on all the fields that I give them, name, address, and all of that. They created the backend system based on the fields that there. But for a user, the client might be having an additional requirement that for the user, there are additional things, additional data that has to be captured. Like, for example, the date when he got registered. So these are auto-generated fields, okay? So it will not come from the front end. So the date when he got registered, his last visited page, or when did he last logged in, his last login, all of which has to be recorded by the system automatically. So for each of those additional pieces of data, the your technical team has to create separate fields which will store that information. Now, if as a BA you are capable of telling them, if you have a basic knowledge of SQL, you will be in a good position to tell them that these are the additional fields you should add in the database. It will not come from the front end. This is how you have to populate those fields. The reason why organizations have been asking for BAs with some basic knowledge of SQL, so that along with testing the behavior of the application, you can also check the data. Okay, sometimes our client gives us production data. Client says that, okay, these are some actual records of my customer. I want you to check the product with this actual data, and see if it's working fine, or whether it's throwing some errors, you know. So if again, if we have SQL skills, without our technical team's help, we can insert that data into the table, and then run several queries to check how the data is behaving in the product, you know. So a snapshot of what I already told you. What is a database? So database, guys, remember, it is a collection of tables. So you just if you are non-technical, no, don't worry about it. Just think about this is a small Excel sheet I've created, okay? So in this Excel sheet, I have columns which are customer ID, customer name, address 1, address 2, city. Okay. So similarly, in a database also, we have columns. I believe everyone can see this. Huh? So in a database also, if, we have columns and we have rows. Okay. So right now in this table, I've not inserted any record. So I can add records here, some address information. So just like you see an Excel sheet with column headings and rows, just like that in database also the data resides in a database. So database is a collection of tables which are having columns like this and rows which will hold the actual data. Okay. This is a structure of tables. I just took a snapshot from of product database, where you can just imagine a e-commerce portal like Amazon, and they will be having a cluster of tables. Okay, not only this, it will be much bigger than this. So we have just taken a small snapshot so that people don't get confused. So you see, they have the customers table, their customers with all the information of the customer. That is their customer master. Then they have the product master table, okay, which you see on the left hand side, products, which is holding all information of products. The products table is then linked to one suppliers table, because one product can have multiple suppliers, right? So they have a supplier master. Then they have order details table. So you and me, when we place orders on Amazon, it naturally goes and hits their backend. Gets saved in their backend system, right? And from there, their order processing system picks it up. So order details table will contain all the details that of the product that we have ordered. Okay. So, and so these are the main tables that you're seeing in this snapshot: customer, products, suppliers, order details. And then we have an orders table. What is that for? The orders table is linking all of these tables together. You see, picking up the ID from the order details with the customer. So you should naturally be able to know, right, which order was placed by which customer. There are so many customers ordering products at the same time. Uh, Now we'll come to the important SQL commands. Okay. So here I will take you to the SQL interface, MySQL interface, where I will show you these commands. Rather than running you through the PowerPoint slides, I will tell you what these commands are and how you have to run. And as a home activity, what you can do is you can download MySQL version. I will show you where to download it, and you can run these queries. To make a note of these queries as and when I'm telling you, and you can run it yourselves, and there is a help available in the MySQL workbench, so that will guide you. But the prime ones that I'm going to focus on is create, update, delete, insert, and the select queries. So these are 5 I call as the magic SQL queries. Yeah, in Google, if you just search for MySQL Workbench, I will put it in the chat window. You can try this at home so that you can, these skills will come only with practice, right? By just me telling you one shot, you'll not be able to remember. So I want you guys to practice this. Go and type MySQL Workbench. You can do it at home. And here, download MySQL Workbench is there. Okay. So you can just click on this link, go to download MySQL, and here the download option is there, so you can start downloading it. I will show you, it's installed on my machine, so I will show you the interface, okay, how it looks like. So this is the MySQL workbench where you can run your SQL queries. Okay, so here what I'm showing you, just for demo purposes, I have created a database called as Marketplace. Okay, let me just open that. Also on the left hand side, there is a database called as Marketplace. So remember guys, create database. That is the syntax when you first want to create your database. Like I said, database is a collection of tables. Okay, your first step would be to create a database and then go and create different tables within it. So I showed you a cluster of tables, right, which a e-commerce portal like Amazon will be having. So if you want to create those tables like, customer master, product master, order master, whatever, shipping master, supplier master, if you want to create a cluster of tables, your first step will be to create a database which will hold all of those tables. I'll show you. Just as you type here in SQL Workbench, it will, see, when you just typing, it will mark it in blue and it will give you this. Okay, that means you are entering the right keyword. That's what it's showing. You can just select it. Okay, and say, let's say I create a new database called as Amazon. Okay, so you can give any name to your database. Okay, whatever is your project, based on that you can give the name. To select this, and there is an execution command over here. If you see that lightning icon, that is an execute command. That means if you have written an SQL query, you want that to run, then you click on this. So I wrote create database Amazon. I click on this. And it gives me a message over here in output below. Create database Amazon, one row has been affected. Okay. Just give me a minute. Okay, see, so I did a refresh. Amazon database has been created here. You see? So when I open this database, it is showing tables, but there aren't any tables. Okay, it's an empty database, right? We did not add anything. Now, when you look at my marketplace database, which I had created before this session, it is having tables. So what did I do? I first created my database marketplace. After that, I went and created tables in it. So that's step number 2. Okay. Create your database. Step number 2, create your tables, multiple tables, how many ever tables that you want. Okay. Go and so my marketplace database, which I had created for demo purposes, if I expand the table, it is showing me 2 tables, which I created using this command. So this is the command, guys, when you want to create table. So you write create table, that is the command, and marketplace is the name of my database. So the system should always, remember, system should always know which database you are referring to. That is the reason we have to mention marketplace dot products is the name of my table. Okay, so you can call it. So whatever information that table is going to hold, based on that, give a name to your table. Okay, so create table. So I want to create a table for products. Under that, now your table should have a structure, right? And what do I mean by the structure? Let me go by that Excel sheet. Yes, here. So in this Excel sheet, we see the structure of a customer table with proper columns and rows. So similarly, in the database, we have to define that structure. We have to tell the system what should be the column names. Otherwise, it will not know, right? If I just say create table marketplace dot products, the table will not have a structure. So that is the reason I add these parameters. So I do not end this command. I open a bracket and I say product ID is the first parameter, which is an integer value. Integer value means numeric. IDs will always be numeric. Product name, which is a varchar value. That means I'm saying that both characters and numbers should be allowed. Varchar stands for that. Product category, which is again a varchar value. Product description, which allows again varchar values, and price as an integer means only numeric fields, numeric values. Okay, so against each and every field name, you have to mention data type. These against every field name, guys, mention the data type and how much data it will contain. So that's the reason in the bracket I mentioned varchar 25. It can be 50, 100 also. So in my database, which I created for today's session, the database called as Marketplace, I created 2 tables. So these were the 2 queries that I ran prior to this session. Products table I created and customer table. Okay. So I think everyone is clear with step 1 and step 2. Create database and then create table. Okay. So suppose your customer has given you some production data saying that, I want you to see if how the system is behaving with this particular data. Then, if your technical team has not created the appropriate tables, then you can use these commands to create new tables and check it. Okay. So now we have created database, created a table. Now suppose I want to delete a particular table. I created a particular table incorrectly, or that particular table is no longer required. So the command for that is drop table. Anytime that you want to delete a particular structure in SQL, the command is drop table, which you see over here. Again, mention the DB name dot the table name. We have now that we have created our database, we have created the table. Okay, now we are trying to insert some data. We have the insert into query. Okay, so don't take a note of that. Insert into means it will allow you to insert a row, a new row. And what is the syntax for that? Again, if you see, when you start writing insert into, it will show you the remaining part that you have to fill in. So I say insert into, I mention the name of the database, that is marketplace, dot the name of the table that I'm targeting. Here I'm trying to add some data in customers table. So I mention customers. And in this bracket, what I am adding is the name of the fields: customer ID, customer first name, then address, address 1, address 2, and city. So I have to mention the field names over here, and then I have to mention the values. Okay, I have to mention all of these values that I want to, whatever is the value that I want in that particular row. So here, see, I have in the first record I mentioned 101. The name of the customer is Peter. His address is Newsland, and rest of the columns I want to leave it empty. The rest of the rows I want to leave it empty. Now that we have finished the first step, we created the database, we created the tables, we have inserted data in these two tables. Okay. Now, so I've run two sets of insert queries. One was for my customer table and the other was for the products table. Okay, so I've added data in each of this. Now let me run a query in which I can see the data. Okay. Now the cell, that is where this select query comes into place. When I want to see what data has been inserted. Okay, so I've added so much of data. Let me see what it looks like. Yeah, see, as soon as I run this query, select star. What does asterisk mean? It means that show me all the records from that table. Okay, so I did a select star. So that's the next set of queries. Select star means show me all records from the customer table. So here in the output, it's showing me that it is inserted 4 records in the customer table. This is what the customer table looks like. Okay. So anytime you want to query, what happens, guys, in this case, when you know to run these queries, anytime you want to cross check how the system is behaving with different types of data, you don't have to be dependent on the technical team. You know, you can quickly tell them to give you control of the database interface. You can run a query in the backend and see, okay, 4 records are coming when I run this particular query, and let me now see in the front end how the system is behaving. You know, whether it is showing me those 4 records, or it is showing me only 2 records. Okay, so that is our select query. Now let me show you some variations of this select query with some operators. Huh. Okay. So we saw the select query with asterisk, which means display all records. Now select query can be further fine-tuned or tweaked when you want to see specific columns from that field, from that table. So then that's what's shown in the next command. Say I want to see only customer name and city. Okay, so my customer table is very huge. It has lots and lots of details of my customer, but I don't want to see only customer name and city. So I can mention, don't use asterisk. Tell the mention a query, select customer name and city from customers. It will show you only 2 columns. Okay. So in Excel, what we do, if you don't want to see all the columns, we hide those columns, right? Excel has a facility of hiding those columns so that we can see only that much amount of data. So this is what we do in SQL. Then we have select star using the where clause. So there are different operators that we can use from this with the select command. So this is, remember guys, this is one command, select, but what we are seeing is different variations in which the same command can be used to retrieve different types of records. Okay, well, using the select command along with different operators that we are seeing, and operators are these where clauses and or clauses that we are talking about. So when I do a select star from customers where country equal to Mexico, what will it show me? Anybody can guess? Select star from customers where country equal to Mexico.
So
It
So it will show all the customers from Mexico.
Yes. Yes, correct, Vijayalakshmi. Yes, thank you. That's correct. It will show you all the customers from Mexico. Select product name from product master where price is greater than or equal to 4,000. Hmm? So this, what will this query retrieve you?
Would only return product name where
Mhm.
price is greater or e- e- equal to 4,000. So starting from 4,000 upwards.
Yes, correct. So it will not show me all the columns from the product master. It will just show me the product name, and it will pick up only those product names where the price is greater than or equal to 4,000. Okay. And similarly, so that's the different variations we are seeing with the where clause, where you can add different columns, and different you can use different operators to match a particular criteria. Then you can, along with the where clause, you can also use something like a between clause. So if you want to specify a range, you can say select product name from product master where price is between 1,000 to 2,000. Okay, so that's a between clause. So select queries, guys, can be immensely, if you go to I'll give you the reference to a particular website. No, the Vijay Lakshmi, this is a separate query. Okay, this is a separate query. Okay, so I'll give you a reference to a website. Let me just ping that in chat, where they have given you the entire list of operators that can be used along with select queries. So there's a huge list of operators. I have just specified some of them which you can use to filter your records. Yeah, some of this, the next set of operators are coming over here, that you can run a query with a distinct clause. And distinct clause means that pick up only unique values. Select distinct country from customers table. That means in the customer table, there will be a mixture of people belonging to different countries, right? Some from United States, some from India. So there will be many people from different geographies. I'm saying that pick up only unique values. Okay, don't pick up redundant values. So in that case, I can use the distinct clause. Show me distinct values. Then comes the and or not clause, where they are saying select star from customers where country equal to Germany and city equal to Berlin. Okay, where you want to join two conditions. So these are the queries that are used by our technical team also within their code. Okay, so these kind of queries, when we run in the backend, we'll be able to see, okay, so I have around 40 customers whose country is Germany and city is Berlin. So then I can go to the front end system and see that, okay, whether that's resonating with what I saw in the backend. And then you can use a or clause if or is that something that you would like to apply. If you want to see where city is equal to Berlin or city is equal to some other place, or no, so you want to give a combination of two locations to search for, you can use the or clause. And then in a similar way you can use the not clause, where you want to just filter out people belonging to a particular country. You say that I don't want to see customers whose country is Germany. So where country is Germany, don't show me that, rest of the countries show me. So then you can use the not clause in that case. Now that we saw that how to create database, how to create tables, how to add data in those tables, and how to view that data. Now these set of operations are done, we are familiar with it. Now how do I go and update the data? Suppose there is some wrong data added in the table. So how do I go and update that data? Editing a piece of information is update, and then we have the table, the marketplace dot the table name, and then we mention which column has to be updated basically. So here I'm mentioning set customer ID equal to 901, where a city equal to Mumbai. Okay, so I mentioned that okay, all the people who are residing in the Mumbai city, their customer ID should be updated to 901. Okay, so I can use the where clause with in multiple places, not only with select. Remember that in my update query also I can use the where clause. In my delete, when I'm deleting my table also I can use deleting a particular that time also I can use the where clause. Then you might ask, okay, what if I want to delete a particular record? You know, so deleting a record, the command is simple: delete from customers table where city equal to Mumbai. That means delete customers who are residing in this in the city of Mumbai. Thank you very much, guys, for putting your time and effort, joining and learning something new. Keep learning and keep growing. That's my message. As a BA, your learning should never stop.